Have you ever wondered what the bloodiest battles in human history were? Our world's past is marked by countless conflicts, wars that have shifted borders, toppled empires, and changed the course of history. But among these, there are battles that stand out for their sheer scale and devastating impact. Today we're embarking on a journey through time to revisit the top 10 bloodiest battles in human history. These battles have been carefully chosen based on a few key criteria: the number of casualties, the scale of the battle, and their impact on the world. From the muddy trenches of the First World War to the chilling winters of the Eastern Front, we'll delve into the depths of human conflict, shedding light on the events that have shaped our world. So brace yourselves, history enthusiasts. We're about to traverse the annals of time, revisiting the scenes of the most devastating conflicts our world has ever seen. Prepare yourself for a journey through the most devastating conflicts our world has ever seen. We begin our journey with the battles of the frontiers during the early days of the First World War. In August of 1914, the German forces launched a massive offensive against France, marking the main German effort in the war's opening chapter. Commanded by the skilled General Helmuth von Moltke, the German forces sought to implement the Schlieffen Plan, a strategy designed to swiftly defeat France before turning their attention to Russia. However, the battles were not the quick victory Germany had hoped for. Fierce resistance from French and British forces resulted in a stalemate, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The battles of the frontiers showcased the destructive power of modern warfare, with over 200,000 soldiers losing their lives. In the grand scheme of the First World War, these battles were a grim harbinger of what was to come. The battles of the frontiers set the stage for the brutal warfare that characterized the First World War. Next, we travel to the muddy fields of Passchendaele. In the summer of 1917, amidst the fury of the First World War, the Battle of Passchendaele, or the Third Battle of Ypres, unfolded. This was a battle where the elements played as much a part as the artillery. Torrential rain turned the battleground into a quagmire, swallowing men, horses, and machinery alike. The mud, the constant shell fire, the unrelenting conditions all combined to create an image of war at its most horrific. The objective was to break through the German lines and reach the Belgian coast, but the reality was a slow, grinding slog through the mud. Despite the strategic planning of the British commander Sir Douglas Haig, the battle was marked by immense human cost and little territorial gain. Over 500,000 lives were lost on both sides. The Battle of Passchendaele was a stark representation of the horrific conditions of trench warfare. The Eastern Front of World War II was home to some of the bloodiest battles, including the Battle of Moscow. This monumental clash took place from October 1941 to January 1942, pitting the might of the German Wehrmacht against the tenacity of the Soviet Red Army. The Russian winter played a crucial role, freezing German equipment and lowering morale, while the Soviets, led by General Georgy Zhukov, utilized a strategy of defense in depth to absorb and eventually repel the German offensive. The battle was marked by fierce fighting, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Red Army managed to hold the line, demonstrating a level of resilience that shocked the German high command. The failure of the German forces to capture Moscow marked the first major defeat for Hitler's war machine. The Battle of Moscow marked a significant turning point in World War II. It was the beginning of the end for the Axis powers, signaling a shift in momentum towards the Allies. Let's rewind to World War I for a look at the Eastern Front and the Brusilov Offensive. The year is 1916. General Alexei Brusilov, a Russian commander, is at the helm, devising a strategy that would become one of the most successful offensives in World War I. Brusilov's plan was a departure from traditional military tactics. Instead of focusing on one point of attack, his forces launched simultaneous assaults across a broad front, catching the Central Powers off guard. This resulted in the Austro-Hungarian forces suffering heavy losses, severely weakening the Central Powers. But the Brusilov offensive wasn't just a military success, it also had profound political implications. The heavy losses sustained by Austria-Hungary shook the empire's stability and morale, contributing significantly to its eventual collapse. The Brusilov Offensive, while successful, came at a great cost, further demonstrating the devastating nature of World War I. The battle remains a stark reminder of the toll that war exacts on nations and their people. Now we pivot back to the savage Western Front of World War I, revisiting the monumental Battle of Verdun. In the harsh break of day on February the 21st, 1916, the authoritative German High Command initiated an enormous offensive against the fortified French town of Verdun. This extensive battle, directed by the merciless German general Erich von Falkenhayn and the dauntless French general Philippe Pétain, was a grueling test of endurance and perseverance. Falkenhayn's strategy was straightforward yet brutal: bleed France white. However, the French, embodying their staunch national motto, "They shall not pass," defiantly stood their ground. Verdun emerged as a beacon of French resistance, with both parties enduring massive losses over the span of 10 relentless months. The outcome? An unexpected turn of events? Verdun didn't bring about the decisive win either side had anticipated. Rather, it exhausted resources, soldiers and spirit, steering the war's trajectory by exposing the gruesome reality of trench warfare. The Battle of Verdun was a glaring demonstration of the grim determination and resilience of the French army, a chilling echo of the human cost of war. Let's shift our attention to the Sino-Japanese War and the Battle of Hankow. A significant struggle in the summer and autumn of 1938, the Battle of Hankow was a strategic chess game between the Chinese National Revolutionary Army and the Imperial Japanese Army. The Chinese forces, led by Chiang Kai-shek, made a valiant effort to hold the city of Hankow, a major commercial hub and provisional capital. However, the Japanese, with their superior training and equipment, launched a multi-pronged offensive, aiming to encircle the city and cut off its supply lines. Despite fierce resistance, the Chinese were ultimately forced to retreat, leading to the city's fall in late October. The Battle of Hankow was more than just a military confrontation. It was a symbol of national resistance for the Chinese, a testament of their determination against foreign aggression. Conversely, for the Japanese, it was a show of force, proof of their military prowess and strategic acumen. The Battle of Hankow was a brutal chapter in the history of the Sino-Japanese War. Back to World War I and the Western Front, we find the Battle of the Somme. This infamous conflict began on July 1st, 1916, and raged on until November 18th of the same year. Under the leadership of Sir Douglas Haig, the British planned to break through the German lines, hoping to alleviate the pressure on the French at Verdun. However, the Germans were not easily swayed. They had heavily fortified their lines, and the British bombardment, though massive, failed to destroy them. When the infantry advanced, they met a wall of German fire, leading to the bloodiest day in British military history, with almost 60,000 casualties on the first day alone. Despite the colossal losses, the Battle of the Somme did have some strategic gain. The Germans were forced to divert resources from Verdun, allowing the French to hold their lines. Yet the cost was staggering and the front lines barely moved. The Battle of the Somme was symbolic of the futile and brutal nature of trench warfare. We return to World War II's Eastern Front for Operation Bagration. This was a major Soviet offensive launched in June 1944, and it was named after a 19th century Russian prince. Operation Bagration was a masterstroke of Soviet strategy, designed to exploit the stretched German lines and divert attention away from the impending Allied invasion of Normandy. The Red Army launched a series of attacks, overwhelming the German Army Group Center. Soviet forces executed a brilliant double envelopment, trapping and annihilating the German Fourth Army in a pocket near Minsk. The operation was marked by rapid advances, with the Soviets liberating Belarus and advancing into Poland and Lithuania. The German forces, already weakened from years of war, were crippled further. They lost nearly 3/4 of their troops on the Eastern Front, making it impossible for them to regain the initiative. Operation Bagration was a decisive victory for the Soviets and marked the beginning of the end for the Third Reich. As we near the end of our journey, we come to the Battle of Berlin. This was the grand finale of World War II's European chapter, a monumental confrontation that began in April of 1945. Commanded by Marshal Georgy Zhukov, the Soviet forces aimed to capture Berlin and put an end to the Third Reich. Facing them was General Helmut Weidling, a man tasked with an almost impossible challenge to defend a city already in ruins. The battle was an intricate dance of strategy and brute force. The Soviets, with their overwhelming numbers, encircled the city, cutting it off from the outside world. Meanwhile, the Germans, despite their desperate situation, fought tooth and nail, refusing to yield. But ultimately, it was the Soviets who emerged victorious. On May 2nd, the German forces surrendered, marking the end of the Battle of Berlin. This battle was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but also a grim reminder of the horrors of war. The Battle of Berlin was the final nail in the coffin for the Third Reich. At last we arrive at the bloodiest battle in human history, the Battle of Stalingrad. This enormous confrontation unfolded right in the heart of the Soviet Union from August 1942 to February 1943. It was a desperate bid for control of the industrial city, where Hitler's forces clashed fiercely with the Red Army. The merciless Russian winter, combined with the city's landscape, turned into a terrifying battlefield, further escalating the intensity of the urban infrastructure, such as buildings, streets, and squares, were all fiercely contested, each turning into a microcosm of war. The Battle of Stalingrad resulted in an estimated 2 million casualties, making it one of the deadliest battles in human history. The Red Army, against overwhelming odds, managed to encircle and trap the German Sixth Army, a turning point in the war's tide. The Soviets' victory here was not just a military triumph, but also a psychological one, sending shockwaves through the Axis forces. This battle, with its staggering human cost, rightfully claims the number due to its scale, the horrific number of casualties, and its monumental impact on the outcome of World War II and the course of human history. As we conclude our journey through the bloodiest battles in human history, we must pause to reflect on the enormous human cost of these conflicts. Each battle, each confrontation, each standoff represented not just a clash of nations, but a clash of ideologies, a struggle for power, and a fight for survival. The numbers we've discussed today are not mere statistics. They represent millions of individual lives, each with their own stories, hopes, and dreams. War, in all its brutality, has shaped our world, but the human spirit, with its resilience and determination, has always risen above it. We must remember these battles not simply as events of the past, but as reminders of the price of conflict and the value of peace. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the fascinating and often brutal events that have shaped our world, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have plenty more historical deep dives coming your way.